Hello, for this semester my team contribution we're creating the antagonists. They have unique attributes and skills, however they follow the same procedural pattern as you can see on this activity diagram. The first question that they ask is if the protagonist is in range, and if not they enter the first loop where they keep going into the loop of checking if the protagonist has come into range. Once the protagonist is in range, they spawn and they enter the second loop where they check if the protagonist is X distances away from them. If not, they move towards the protagonist and they keep on going into the loop until that distance has been met. Once that has been met, they attack and they check if the protagonist has died, and if the protagonist has died, the game is over and the user has to start a new game. If not, they enter a loop where they check if the antagonist is receiving damages. If not, they attack and check if the protagonist has died. If not, they check if they are receiving damages, and so they go into this loop until they start receiving damages, and then they enter another loop where they check if they have died. If so, they despawn and the game is over for the antagonist. If they have not died, they keep on attacking and going into that previous loop where they check if the protagonist has died. If not, they check if they're receiving damages. If so, they check if they've died. So they're continuously going into this loop until either the antagonist or the protagonist has died and the game is over. We see this diagram where it displays the behaviors of each individual antagonist. So every antagonist has one of three behaviors at all times throughout the game. The first behavior is the aggressive behavior, second is defensive behavior, third is normal behavior. We see the aggressive behavior when the protagonist is X distance away from the antagonist and they come and attack. We see the defensive behavior when the antagonist loses their ammos and all they have left is trying to block the protagonist and tries to ward them off their area. And we see the normal behavior where they are not spawned yet, and so when the protagonist is not in range, they're normal and they go in their normal procedures. As every rule has an exception, we see this exception in the suffragette. We see how she follows the procedural pattern from all the previous ones, but what changes is when she spawns. The only way she spawns is when the protagonist attacks her, and then she spawns and she takes a defensive action, not a offensive action like the others. So she's more peaceful than the rest of them. So now let me show you what I'm talking about. We see the first two, we see Bonnie and Clyde. After Bernard makes a move, they take a more strategical pattern where they form an alliance and tries to block him. Once he attacks, they take into a tactical mode and are aggressive, and their entire goal is to try to destroy him before he enters the next level. And then the next antagonist I want to talk about is the suffragette. She's more peaceful and she's the exception of the rule, where see how she is not spawned. The only way she spawned is only after the protagonist attacks her. Once attacked, she comes following Bernard, and we see when she's X distance away, she goes back into the entryway, blocking Bernard from entering the next level. So she acts more like a bouncer. So you have to use strategy instead of tactical in order to defeat her. And by doing this, you see Bernard is clear of the entryway and he can go to the next level. Now the next antagonist I want to talk about is the cat lady. She is very aggressive and she sends out 9 of her minions to come and attack Bernard. So the major difference about the cats are that they are kamikaze cats, and they basically use strategical and tactical skills at the same time. And their primary goal is trying to Bernard even before he reaches the cat lady. So as you can see, the cats make a defensive move, comes tries to block so that he dies even before reaching her. And after 9 moves, we see the cat lady transform, or after Bernard attacks her, where she transform, and we also see how she's pushing him away from her area. So basically, this is my contribution for the team.